Hello fans of the RPG Fanatic Show and welcome to another episode of RPGology. Today's subject is on the Shin Megami Tensei series, or rather the origin of the spell names used in that series. Unlike games like Final Fantasy that simply says fire or fire or fire for fire spells, Shin Megami uses some peculiar naming conventions, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in this episode. Now, the Shin Megami games are filled with a lot of religious symbolism and pull ideas from many different belief systems. There are also a lot of games in the series, and sometimes spells don't appear in every game. It would be a very long video if I covered them all, so I'll just focus on some of the most commonly used spells. When discussing these names, it is important to remember that MegaTen games are originally published in Japanese. What this means is that words from other languages get translated into Japanese. Then when the game is selected for release in North America, the text is translated from Japanese into English. So, when a MegaTen game finally makes it to the English language, the spell names have now gone through 3 very different languages, so sometimes the spelling or pronunciation is a bit different from the original source material, sometimes making it a little more challenging to track down the origin unless you ask the designers. This is little known outside the game industry, but sometimes English localizers are not given all the design notes about a title they are tasked with translating, and have to do the very best they can with what an idea sounds like. This is why sometimes well-known game series like Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy have had variances in their spell names, whereas the original Japanese versions have used pretty consistent nomenclature throughout all the titles. That said, I am pretty confident about the following sources for spell names used in the MegaTen series. Zio is the name for the family of lightning spells in the Shin Megami Tensei series. Zio was actually a little-known alternate name for Tyr, a god of air and war in Norse mythology. Zio was a more common name for the god among the Germanic tribe the Teutons, who were kind of like cousins to the Gauls and shared a lot of religious ideas between one another in the Greek and Roman eras. Actually, Tyr was also the source material for Jupiter, the Roman god of thunder, and the Greek god Zeus, these latter gods being a combination of the ideas surrounding Tyr, Odin, and Thor. And for those curious, my source is page 196 of Teutonic Mythology, Volume 1, by Jacob Grimm. Yes, that Jacob Grimm. Agi, the family of fire spells, are most likely based on Agni, the Hindu god of fire and a scepter of sacrifices. Garu is a class of wind spells in some of the games where Zan isn't a wind spell. The name most likely comes from the Hindu deity Garuda, a mythical bird deity who is often portrayed as the mount of Vishnu. Garuda is often used as a symbol in Hinduism to represent violent force and speed, fitting, I think, since the Garu family of spells are wind-based. Bufu is the family of ice spells, and near as I can tell, is a heavily Englishified translation, or rather abbreviation, for the following Sanskrit, which I'm not even going to begin to try to pronounce, which means full of great lumps of ice. Mudo means pathless or curse in Japanese, and Hama is a kind of exorcism in Shinto. This makes sense as both Mudo and Hama cause instant death, though Mudo is more effective against light-aligned monsters, and Hama is more effective against darkness-aligned monsters. Some people have wondered about the etymology behind the stronger versions of the elemental spells. Maha means great in Sanskrit. This makes sense, since the Ma prefix is added to the front of a spell that hits multiple enemies, like Mabufu or Mazio. The Rama label is attached to the medium strength elemental spells, such as Agi Rama or Bufu Rama. Rama, of course, is an avatar of the Hindu god Vishnu. I'm unsure why Rama was chosen as the affix for medium strength spells, since his name is an epitaph for knight. Dine is often added to the strongest versions of the base elemental spells. Dine means power or force in Greek, and is also a unit of measurement in physics. Dia is the name of the basic healing spell, and could come from a variety of places. Dia is the name of a nymph in Greek mythology who is one of Zeus's lovers. Another possibility is the Celtic goddess Dia Green, a sun goddess whose name means sun's tear, and her legend is associated with reincarnation, which would make sense since Dia is a healing spell in MegaTen games. Rekarm is Sanskrit for reincarnation, which is fitting since it is the reviving spell. Amrita is Sanskrit for immortality, or rather, the nectar of immortality. It is a synonym for Soma, the drink of the Hindu gods which maintains their immortality. Lastly, I want to talk about some really high-level spells. Some of the high-level spells in the game are named after locations of religious significance. For example, the almighty spell Megiddo is a reference to Tel Megiddo, an ancient city in modern-day Israel. Megiddo, better known to English speakers by its Latin name Armageddon, or Mount of Megiddo, is of theological significance to Christians due to the Book of Revelations. While no version of Revelations ever says that Megiddo will be the site of anything more important than the meeting of kings, it has become popular in Christian beliefs to say Megiddo is the site of a final battle between good and evil. Over time, the word Armageddon has become associated with the idea of the world ending, and its original meaning greatly diluted. Another location used as a spell name is Niflheim, which is a region of the underworld in Norse mythology that is covered in mist, and uses the name for the strongest ice spell in the game. Now, I realize this video isn't covering every spell name in the series. That would just be too time consuming. But I still hope that you've enjoyed this little peer into the look of the origin behind some of the spell names. And if there's more interest, I might make another video about this subject, if people want to hear. Thanks guys, and see you next time on RPGology and the RPG Fanatic channel.
Hey kiddies, it's me, the Student Zor, co-host of the RPG Fanatic show, and all this other stuff on this channel. Anyway, why don't you take a look at some of these other videos done by the RPG Fanatic, Kerry Martell himself? How about it? Also, like and subscribe to our channel for great justice!